doing big damage. It's important in any sort of action RPG. But what's also important is being able to crit. This is the wrong glider. These gliders are this is the wrong glider, but intro just messed up now. Let's just not waste anything. Let's get straight into it. I completely butchered that intro, but whatever. Let's just roll with it. But as you can see, I did upload a TikTok, and something interesting came to mind when looking at my damage, rather looking at my ratios. An epiphany of sorts came to my head. And that is, doing big damage is cool and all, but it won't mean anything if you don't actually get the damage consistently. Which is why having crit rate is important. I know I'm saying the obvious here, but if you look at my damage test shorts and or videos, you should know that, well, my ratios are almost always very questionable, to say the least. So, after doing some research, so to speak, I decided that, you know what, depending how, I might just stick with the builds I have today. The damage might be less than usual, especially for Pyro, which is going to hurt Pyro. Might be my favorite element for in this game, period. Not just for Traveler, but in general, as like an element, I just love Pyro. But, you know what? I'd rather actually, you know, crit than be forced to use crit rate food, reset, try again, gather energy, you know. I'd rather actually, you know, crit once in a while without being forced to use a crit rate food. So here's the Traveler build, let's just so Animo. We don't have an Animal Goblet, so we're kind of working with the next best option, which is just straight attack. But yeah, Falzon is like the premium animal support, if I'm not mistaken. And Zhongli is there because he gives. Let's read this. I didn't press that. Let's read this real quick. He gives an extra buff. He gives an extra 20% elemental res buff as long as the shield is active. So for 20 seconds, we get an extra 20% damage increase. On top of Farazan's damage increase, which is 30%, which is so basically plus Bennett's increase. So basically an extra 50% animal damage bonus, essentially, when you're running this team. At least that's what I'm expecting. Now, you want me thinking why I'm not running for Arena? I don't want to. That's literally it. I don't want to. That's like really what it narrows down to, really. I just don't want to. Farazon isn't for energy, so we probably got to redo this. Nor Aether. So this is this one Scuff? Yeah, this is definitely a Scuff run. Okay, we need to get energy because I didn't calculate that Farazon didn't have enough energy to, you know. I was hoping that she would have the energy by the time we got to the boss, but whatever. Also, the reason we're not going to be doing the usual bosses I do is because I don't really feel like bothered with there are certain phases that these bosses have that I don't want to deal with, and I don't want this video to be too long, so yeah. But yeah, see, we're actually critting more consistently. Obviously the damage is less, but the crits are consistent. And that is, even if the damage is less than, you know, what I'm used to, I'm fine hitting less damage if it means I'm critting consistently. So I'm perfectly fine reaching the middle ground if it means I'm actually doing the big damage more frequently. Because in endgame content like Stygian or Abyss, you can't rely on crit rate food. I mean, sure, to get crit rate buffs in the Abyss, but I mean, 8% and an extra 8% crit rate isn't really gonna fix the 24% crit rate I have on Pyro MC. So yeah, I think it's time for me to just think about how I build these characters. We didn't crit on the skill, which is, I don't think I need to explain why I'm confused. We didn't crit on the skill, so this test has to be done. You know what? I hate that I'm doing this at all because I shouldn't have to. I specifically went for a build that has a decent amount of attack, but also crit rate. Well, now our crit rate is at 96.9. If we don't crit on But when we come back here, if we somehow don't crit, I'm gonna be very upset. That's all I'm gonna say. I just want to gather the energy so that I don't not freaking teleport. I mean, I'm gonna teleport anyway. I just want to get the energy now. Power's on. I don't need to get some energy. Power's on. What is your energy regen at? Hold on. What's her energy regen at? Because she's not getting any energy. 131. It's not that. It's not that low. Like I understand if it was, you know, Dendro MC, who pretty much needs energy regen, at least an amount of it, but you're not Dendro Traveler. Why are you not getting energy? Screw it. We just reset the boss. And we're gonna be. Actually, you know, yeah. I got a better idea. We're gonna do a boss in AV Nation, but dependent. Obviously, power gonna be Gazortov. That's should be obvious. Hydro, I gotta figure out which boss I want to test against. I'm not 100% sure yet, but we should definitely figure it out. But I gotta figure out which boss would be best to do this against.
Have fun with this gift. With the wind.
15k. Okay, see, like 60k. Obviously, they're not meant to be DPS, but I built them as one because, well, I wanted to, and they are. Like if I had to rank them bias aside, I'll put them at like a B tier DPS for Animo. Geo on the other hand, Geo was really good when they first dropped, and they're still usable today, if I'm not mistaken. The build is the same except for the different goblet. Now it's 76 to 188. Actually, no, I lied. It's this. This weapon is vital for the rotation and the damage. Just trust me on this. Now we do have a team for each element, which I feel like should be expected. Maguro is kind of built kind of awkwardly, but he's not really there to do damage. He's there for the buffs, and that's pretty much it. So let's find ourselves a Ruin Gun and get some energy. So we could test not against, we're gonna choose against the Regivine every time. Just so that it's, you know, fair. I don't want to do Gazortov with Pyro MC because it wouldn't be a fair test if I do that and not bother with the other elements having, because, well, it's kind of hard to do actually because Pyro is the only element with the sort of buffs only for them. Like no other element has that, which I appreciate. Although Cryo might have that though, you know. Let me know Cryo might end up surprising me. See, 53k. And that's because of this weapon right here. An extra 24% on our skill damage. And that's an extra 20% when we do geo damage for 15 seconds. And our cooldown on our skill is 8 seconds. Meaning we gain the benefits of this pretty well, I think. Also, is it not maxed out? Oh, I didn't realize it wasn't. Well, we would definitely be taking care of that as soon as I can. Another good thing I like about the early traveler elements, they gain energy really, really quickly. That's something I appreciate. Regivine again. The rotation is going to be, generally is usually going to be starting rotation, except for Pyro. Pyro is the only element, at least from my testing I did yesterday, that having Zhongli instead of Shallonen doesn't really benefit. I mean, if you don't have Shallonen and you have Zhongli, you know, they're a good substitute. You know, the extra 20% increase, you know, it helps. You run them as a DPS, obviously, you don't have to. I'm just saying, if you do, you know, that's something that you could do. About this.
Everyone on me! Terra smash!
And I didn't see the damage number, but I'm gonna assume we crit. I want to assume we crit. I'm pretty sure we did crit, otherwise it wouldn't have ended it. You guys already know how I feel about Electro MC, but I went up to them a little bit because I realized that their role is actually pretty vital to the overall team dynamic. So, resonating with Electro, and I did kind of find a team that they work well with. I say kinda because again, I barely use this element, if at all. Even though I did almost max it out to we're gonna use Electro Scholar since we have one. I don't feel like we should be changing. If we have one, we should definitely use it. Now, what did I have on my Electro MC team? I don't. Was it really this? Kujosawa, I get. Actually, we're gonna put Shalon in. We're gonna put Jalni. Simply because Kujosawa's defense is actually Dark Water, and I don't want her to get, stunned or anything like that. So we're just, for my own sanity's sake, we're gonna have Jalni taking Shalon's place. If I think I could do a test with both Jalni and Shalon and just compare and contrast. Although I'm almost certain that that's not. Okay, I don't know who that is. This is not a good time. I should have turned on my co-op requests, but I didn't think of that. I didn't think that far ahead, but let's just continue. Actually, end up. Okay, see, now I'm actually critting. 15k is, I understand they're not meant to be a DPS, but it still kind of sucks because I like to make every MC a DPS if I can. Like, I made Arrow over DPS. They're not supposed to be a DPS, by the way. They're supposed to be a healer support. Focus on arrow erosion. They're not supposed to be a DPS. But I made them one anyway. Simply because I could. That should be, okay, well, by the time you get back to Mondstadt, you should be full energy, so. I'll go with any time. Now, Hydro and Dendro are going to be interesting. Hydro, I have a pretty basic idea of the team I want to go with. Dendro is interesting, because as a DPS, Dendro doesn't work, really, considering the skills are mainly support-based, but we will get there when we get there. We will definitely cross that threshold and figure something out. I did try Burn, like a Virgin team, which I think worked for me yesterday. 23k on the skill, and we do some overload damage. So it's like 9k per each hit. That's not bad. And 15k on the crit. I understand they're not meant to be DPS, but the numbers being so low does take away a little bit of my enjoyment. Maybe that's just me. Dendro brought everyone back on a Traveler, because I remember people hating Electro MC, but Dendro brought everyone back, and then Hydro made people turn away again. But then Pyro brought them back. So it's like, Hoyo, what are you doing? They're like constantly flip-flopping. Now, I understand that having EM is kind of needed for Dendro, but that's not what we're doing. As I said, random DPS is good. So we're gonna go without this. So 66 over 200.6. Now we switch our team again. Obviously, the baby cabbage is in this team. This is a pseudo Virgin team, I think. I don't really know what this team is supposed to be. Obviously, Kazuha and Shilonen don't really benefit in this team like this. Since you can't really, swirl Dendro or like absorb it as an element. But yeah, let's just see how much damage we do. Base without any buffs, just base Traveler. This is the wrong glider. There we go. Now we're flying in style. Gliding in style, I guess. Technically would be the better word. I'm still gonna get hit by this. aren't I? Except for not, because we get the master dodge. Almost 30k. The scaling of Dendro is definitely much higher than Electro, so that's a given. And 630 for burning. Obviously, the Nahita's gonna do higher damage because we have higher EM on the Nahita, but just bear with me. 35k with the Johnny buff. Not bad, not bad. We need some more energy though. So, hey slimes, I'm gonna need to wet you guys a little bit. I'm gonna need to apply some grass on you. Hope you don't mind. I command you to touch my grass. There we go. Okay, with more energy. Now this is gonna be interesting. Because there's no guarantee that we'll actually, do that much damage or crit at all. Actually, no, I think we should be fine. 66 is a decent amount of crit rate. At least in my opinion. I think going to our crit rate, it just reduces your damage drastically. But for what I've seen, I think every element except Pyro really suffers from the lack of crit damage on their build. So I'm not too upset about this so far.
Adventure time.
Now,
Everybody stand.
this rotation is a little different. We need to do this, pop this, pop this.
Spring forth.
Let's just see the damage. We didn't crit. We crit on the skill at least, so that's nice. He recovered way too fast, so that's not good. That was definitely a bust. If we had crit on the burst, I think we would have done some pretty good damage, but we didn't for some reason. Even though I don't understand why this happens sometimes either.
We go.
Because I could be running,
Light it up.
for example, Marika.
Let me amuse myself.
I have Codex on her, and by default her crit rate will increase by quite a lot. But she doesn't always crit, even though she gets a 40% crit rate damage boost just naturally. So, what I don't understand is why she doesn't crit consistently. But that's another discussion for another day. Let's focus on the boy for now. The main golden boy. We need to be careful. We had no step. We could have just freaking fell to it. Definitely made everything pointless. I gotta be careful. Also, I find it funny that Benny is in literally every single one of my team. He's in every single one of my teams.
Get out of here.
He's just that goated. He's just that good. He's just that guy.
Teamwork is make yourselves at home.
Okay. Pop the John Lee shield.
This is order.
I did not mean to do it. That was a fat finger mistake. We hit it crit.
Propagate.
We didn't crit again with the burst. So, as much as I hate to do it, we're popping this. Give me the extra crit rate, because I shouldn't be forced to rely on this either, especially considering the build I'm trying to focus on for this video. Alas, some things you can't really control, like whether or not Hoyo wants to be mean to me or not. The artifact was surely mean to me today. Damn, they got freaking destroyed by grass. Crazy.
Solidify.
Could not be me. I go outside 5 times a day at least. What is this? Defense, revival, shield strength that could be useful for Johnny. Max HP. We're not using that. Saving that. Saving that. Those 3 we're gonna keep.
Scatter.
And that was 34 because of the John Lee buff being active. You know, I can just walk through this. Wow, you missed. 34 on Bloom. John Lee energy doesn't really matter since he's not really there to do energy damage to begin with. Could I try running Bloom instead? I don't know. I'm not sure. Denjo has a few options I can go with, but I'm not really a fan of Bloom, honestly. Maybe that's because I just don't like how cluttered the screen can get sometimes. Maybe that's just me. I'm more for a version of Hyper Bloom, but like Shinobu isn't built right now, and my Raiden is not really in her EM build right now either, so we can't really do those. So let's stick with a version for now. Let's see if he can't break this guy's shield for the 3rd time. Let's see if he actually crit. Please crit. I know Hoyo want to be the funny, you know, do the jokes, but I need you to crit. There we go. 110. There we go. As I said, damage isn't really going to be that high for a character who's not meant to be in DPS, but I made the most one because I thought it would be fun. Hydro, who I've actually warmed up to. I remember did not like this element when they first dropped, but I've definitely turned around on them. Especially when I realized how freaking funny it is just to point your enemies to non-existence. Now Kazu is in this team instead of Shilonen, for the simple fact that we need constant pyro active for the rotation, and Kazuha can do that while Shilonen can't. So that's why Kazuha is here when Shilonen is not. See, they want me to go with this one, but we have elements regardless. So why would we go out of our way to use something that will lessen our damage, you know? Now comes the part where we farm energy. I feel like you guys should be used to this by now. I do this a lot on my streams and whatnot, but now I want to do something first. I feel like I have to. Let's put the shield up and just point. All beast is going to be less damage. but it's consistent damage, and I think that's what I need to focus on more. Obviously hitting a certain number damage threshold is good. I'm not gonna act like that's not true. And vape damage is still pretty good as well. The vaporize damage, that's where they shine, in my opinion. It's a vaporized DPS. If you do run them as a DPS, I'm not saying you have to, but if you do, you know, almost 60k. Look at that.
Wind strike.
Alright, College, I'm gonna need you to get some energy there, buddy.
Solidified. Go.
Okay, everyone's full energy? Just turn to my stat. Cryo MC is not available yet, so obviously we can't test them. I hope they're good. I genuinely hope they're good. I feel like Pyro, Danjo, even Hydro kind of set up an expectation of sorts. So, you know, maybe copium on my part, but you know, I just realized you can't do the proper rotation against this boss. We can't do the proper rotation against this. What? Actually, no, I think we can. Yeah, I think we can. Hold on. Yeah, we can. We definitely can.
Going in.
Fallen leaves. Adorn my
62. It's not much, but you know, for a character who's not meant to be DPS again, I will take what I can get. Now comes objectively the best element in terms of damage and support utility. La Pyro MC. I already have the goblet there. 75 over 2-0. Yeah. Honestly, this is one of the better ratios I think I've had, because I think it's like the first time I've actually seen my crit value reach this threshold, like reach past 240. Yeah, you know, you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah, let's get this over with.
I agree. Let's end this video off with a bang. Now, normally I would test with Gosortov, but as I said earlier, that wouldn't be fair to their elements since they don't have a boss exclusive buff. So, why should I bother being partial to Traveler, to Pyro? Sure, I'm biased, but I'm not an asshole. Let's get some energy. Let's just see the melt damage real quick. 130k, that's still, listen, that's still pretty good. I'm not even mad at it. I'm a little disappointed that damage is increased by quite a lot, because usually we get like 140, 150 sometimes. So sometimes 180 depending on the enemy. I don't know, it really depends. Also, I know I'm sorry. I don't mean to do this to you guys, but listen, you have energy. I need it. It's nothing personal, I swear. I'm sorry. I feel terrible doing this to you, but listen, I have no choice. You're in the area. It's just how it is. I'm sorry. Now, Pyro obviously going to be doing the highest damage, and Pyro just is objectively the DPS element for Traveler. This is just a fact. You can't tell me it's not. Their scaling supports this, by the way. So before anyone tries to refute me, that no Traveler element is DPS based. No, this one definitely is, and it makes sense for them to be as such, considering, you know, Nation of War. I feel like that also plays into it.
Hear the echoes of the valley.
Obviously, I don't think we can't. Okay, we did not get the crystal shard, but that's okay. We're still doing decent damage, I think. 656. A lot less than what we usually do, but I mean, we crit without using crit rate food. So I consider that a win. This is the final build. 75.8 over 202.9 with Splitter. Obviously, I will definitely refine it if I can, depending on when the Aqua gets a rerun. I would definitely will refine it to R5 if possible. Artifacts are as such. They may get changed around, but as of right now, I kind of like where we're at with our ratio for all the builds. Basically, C12 because obviously, and max talents. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about my suggestion, just going for, you know, more consistent damage instead of just one big damage every 3 attempts. You know, I think this is going to be beneficial to me in the future. You know, and if they do force a story Traveler on me, please make the build good, because I don't want people to further support the idea that Traveler is always mid when that's just not true.